Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Norsuhailah Syazana Binti Salehi. My metric number is 112026. So today I would like to present my topic, which is analysing how young Malaysians' financial situation affect their travel behaviour in Malacca. Without further ado, let's start. Let's start with the introduction of this topic. Did you know what domestic tourism is? So, according to UNWTO, domestic tourism is an activity of a resident tourist who engage in during a journey inside the country. So, this means that tourists just only travel within the Malaysia. According to the Statista Research Department, approximately 41% of domestic travel in 2021 was dominated by young Malaysians between the age of 15 to 39 years old. So it is already known that travel at an early age has become a trend among young Malaysians. So they become the source of growth for the tourism sector that recovers Malaysia's economy. And for your information, domestic travel in 2021 was primarily undertaken for the reason of shopping, visiting friends and relatives, relaxation, medical treatment, and incentive travel. There are a few problems that have been identified. Firstly, domestic tourism is undervalued. This can be supported by previous study as stated by Berhanu Asbalubayi et al. 2020. Domestic tourism is generally underappreciated by locals, academy, and policymakers in developing nations. This can be proven by the previous study also that have mentioned that younger people are more prone to like to travel abroad due to their view it as a luxurious activities compared to domestic tourism. Secondly, young Malaysians have a low level of disposable income. As mentioned by previous study, the economic crisis significantly influenced travel preferences, particularly for young travelers who have limited financial resources. As it is already known that youth travelers most commonly have a high interest in exploring new destinations. However, they are usually restricted by low level of disposable income. Hence, young and less affluent travelers are drawn to short-haul destinations that are practical and affordable to satisfy their travel needs. The last problem statement is that could be identified is the majority of young Malaysians, especially students, are not travelling due to time constraints. As a full-time students, they may difficulties in managing time to travel. According to the survey conducted by previous study, issues related to time to go to travel are the second highest with 13.6% compared to other issues such as family and health. So this can be seen that time is one of the major problems that constrain young Malaysians to travel. Now we move to the next point, which is the research question and the research objective. The research question is essential in the guidance of the research. It is to see what is going to be found in this study. So there are three research questions, which are: what is the level of financial situation among young Malaysians in Malaysia? What is the level of travel behaviour among young Malaysians in Malaysia? And is there any significant relationship between financial situation and travel behaviour among young Malaysians in Malaysia? And the research objective for this study is to measure the level of financial situation among young Malaysians in Malaysia and to determine the level of travel behaviour among young Malaysians in Malaysia, as well as to investigate the significant relationship between financial situation and travel behaviour among young Malaysians in Malaysia. So now I will explain the next part, which is the literature review. According to the Maisara Abdul Hamid studies, the research key conclusion was the most respondents travel while enrolled in school, with domestic travel being their primary point of interest, realization purposes of exploring different culture as well as to gain new knowledge. This is due to domestic tourism being more realizable to travel at that age. Secondly, from the study of Shuhada Fahana Adnan and Shida Irwana OMA 2022, each generation used the travel characteristic of their cohort as the primary determinant of where they want to go. This may include their financial situation and factors that constrain them to travel. Thus, understanding the generational cohort in tourist behavior is essential since the domestic tourism market includes a wide variety of groups, making it easier to predict tourism trends. Lastly, studies from Caroline Rosinek et al. 2021 indicates that low-income families employ a variety of planning and funding methods for their regular travel habits. Direct and indirect assistance for their travel and assistance from their social network is one tactic. Additionally, some families avoid recreational pursuits that require admission fee and more expensive travel in order to cut down their cost to travel. The theoretical framework for this study is theory of life cycle consumption, adapted from Franco Modigliani 1950. According to this theory, there are three types of consumption patterns presented. Those aged around 26 to 64 years old usually will always be prepared to put aside consumption and satisfaction in order to boost their saving because they will utilize those funds for consumption in the future. In other words, for their retirement. Other than that, they will also plan their spending and saving behavior over an extended length of time. However, they are different from the younger generation, where the young generation who are at the age of 15 to 25 years old have a tendency to spend their money more than they make. So, as shown in the figure above, younger generation primarily use their income for personal expenses. The young generation at this age also begin to spend on something to meet their demand, such as going on trip with friends due to the trends. Therefore, they have no saving at this age. The conceptual framework in this study present the relation between the independent variable and the dependent variable. In short, the financial situation of young Malaysians will affect their travel behavior. For the research design, this study employed a quantitative research design that used descriptive analysis and inferential analysis. The purpose of this study is to measure the level of the financial situation among young Malaysians in Malaysia, to determine the level of travel behavior among young Malaysians in Malaysia, as well as to investigate the significant relationship between financial situation and travel behavior among young Malaysians in Malaysia. For the research approach, this study employed a quantitative research approach in order to collect the data from the targeted respondents. The quantitative research approach has been chosen to conduct this study due to the utilization of statistical data, time and resources saving tools. This method also saves time and effort to analyze each of the results collected by using a statistical package for social science, or known as SPSS, compared to other methods. For the population size, young Malaysians aged 15 to 24 years old that have been or intended to travel to Malacca were chosen as the target population of this study. The source of Malaysia's official statistic 2021 estimate that about 3 million domestic travel visited Malacca in 2021. Thus, the number of tourists arriving in Malacca as a whole has exceeded the maximum population size predicted by Craigie and Morgan 1970. Therefore, a total of 384 respondents are needed for the sample size for this study. Then, the sampling technique for this study is implemented a non-random sampling technique with convenience sampling. The technique is to approach young Malaysians aged between 15 to 24 years old in order to identify how financial situation can affect their travel behavior. The convenience sampling technique is chosen due to the collection of data can be made quickly, low cost, simple to implement, readily available sample, which is young generation and so on. And also, I implement this sampling is because most of article that I read use sampling non-probability sampling technique to collect the data. For the research instrument, firstly, Section A provide information about the social demographic profile. Next, Section B consists of a questionnaire regarding the respondent's financial situation. The last section of the questionnaire is Section C, which give the detail of respondent travel behavior. Okay, for the pilot test, 35 respondents have validated my instrument. Pilot study is conducted in order to identify any ambiguous or confusion in the questions provided to the participant. It also to make sure that the respondent can easily understand the question before being distributed for the actual data collection. After collecting the data, the table shows that both of my variables have reached the acceptable values, which is more than 0.6. For the frequency analysis, the tables show the frequency and percentage of result of each question. Then for the descriptive analysis, the standard deviation for each variable is displayed in the table. The finding demonstrate that both variables have lower standard deviation than the mean, which is demonstrating their stability, consistency, and the performance within the system. Last but not least, the correlation analysis. The correlation for each variable is displayed in the table. The finding indicate that both variables have reached a high value for the correlation analysis. The independent variable and dependent variable have a high positive correlation, which is 0.742. So to conclude, this result clearly show that there is a significant relationship between the level of financial situation and travel behavior. I think that's all from me. Thank you for listening.